Well, let's see in this class how to perform snapshots of our EBS volumes. Here I have two EC2 instances, one with Linux and one with Windows. If I select the Linux one and go to Storage, I can see the EBS volume that this instance has attached. This EBS volume is the root volume, and let's say it has some critical day on it, and I want to make sure I back up this volume. To do that, I click on the volume ID. This takes me to the Elastic Block Store EBS volume screen. I select it. Actions, and here we can see several things that we can do. We can modify the volume. We already saw how to do this in a previous class. Create a snapshot. Create a snapshot lifecycle policy. We will see this in another class, among other options, but the one that interests me here is create snapshot. So here we can see the volume ID. We can add a description. Let's say EBS Snapshot EC2 Linux. We can see that it will not be encrypted, and this is because the snapshot gets the same encryption state as the selected volume, and as the EBS volume is not encrypted, the snapshot will not be encrypted either. However, if you create an unencrypted snapshot, you can encrypt it after creating it. That is, you copy the snapshot and enable encryption for the copy. We'll see this in more detail. In tags, I will create one like name and value unencrypted and create snapshot. I get the message that it has already been created, and if I go to snapshots, we can see it here. Then, once it's available, we can do several things. If I go actions, we can create a new EBS volume from this snapshot. I can create an AMI from this snapshot. Then, if I go in here, we can give it name, a description, modify some parameters, and even we can increase the storage size and add an additional volume. Once we have all this and we create that image, this AMI we can use to launch EC2 instances based on a snapshot that was taken from an EBS volume. I will do it at this point because we already saw how to create an AMI and use it to launch EC2 instances. Another thing we can do from actions is copy snapshot. This is where we can copy a snapshot from one AWS region to another, within the same region, or from one AWS region to AWS outpost. And note that this is where we can encrypt our snapshot before copying it, as I mentioned earlier. Again, I will do that either because I have a class dedicated to it. Another thing we can do with our snapshots is, in snapshot settings, modify the permissions. Then, when you modify the permissions of a snapshot, you can share it publicly with all AWS users or with specific AWS accounts. When you share a snapshot with other accounts, you give them access to the snapshot data and give them permission to copy it and create new EBS volumes from it. Another thing we can do, and to finish this topic, is to manage snapshot locking. So, you can lock your snapshots to protect them against accidental or malicious deletions for a specific period of time. Note that as long as the snapshot is locked, no user will be able to delete it, regardless of their IAM permissions. So, that's all for now regarding snapshots of your EBS volumes. See you next time.